Hello, blessings to you during this Lenten season. My name is Michelle Mears, and I'm a member of New Hope Presbyterian Church under the teaching direction of Pastor Janetta Goodjoin. I was delighted to be invited to share my perspectives on the two texts. That's Luke chapter 4, verses 1 through 13, as well as Howard Thurman's Jesus and the Disinherited. There's one question that is presented that I want to focus on, and that is the temptation of power in this, specifically in the scripture. And that sense of or experience of temptation is something that I'm sure is not unfamiliar to any of you. And some of you might even say, not just temptation, but, actually yielding to it. As I certainly have in my life. But what I think is really particularly important about this question is the temptation of power, the significance of power. And as we relate to that in the scripture, I think we also have to contextualize that with the realities of today. So the way in which I look at things is through my life experiences. It's also through my lens as a Black woman. And I think as a Christian, it's important for us all to be in a place where we're not only looking, inwardly at our own experiences, we also have to look out and recognize that there are different experiences. The significance of power relates differently for people. In the scripture, we know that Jesus was tempted 3 times. One time through his hunger, the psychological and physiological impact of hunger is something I've never experienced before, but I still need to lean in and understand the impact of that, because even as we think about today, people who struggle with housing insecurity, food insecurity, poverty as a whole, these were experiences that Jesus had. So it's not enough to not have had the experience, that it is also important for us to understand what someone else's experience is like. So we think about the second temptation. That was the temptation for power, political power, dominion over all kingdoms of the world. What does that look like today for us? This notion of power. Today it's, you deserve it. You've worked hard for it. What does that mean as it relates to asserting privilege over those who are disadvantaged? Jesus was strong enough, even though he had been tested time and time again. We are constantly tested, and he is our example. The third temptation takes place in Jerusalem at the temple, a place that is significant for Jesus. If the Lord really loves you, just jump, he'll spare you. Prove that. So the temptation for us as Christians is something that we have to look at very closely, and we also have to recognize that not only in our identities and our experiences that we would draw closer to the Lord, but that we would also recognize other experiences that people have. In furthering the kingdom, we are to unite. We are to understand other people's lives, their experiences, their challenges. As Thurman's text speaks to what it means for the disadvantaged to also have that access and understanding of what it means to know that Christ loves them and is with them and is for them and has always been in that position. It is those of us who have a greater sense of privilege to understand what God expects of us, what God demands of us in uniting the kingdom. Thank you for allowing me to share the impact of this text.